Let's take a look here at X-Men Dark Phoenix opening up here in just a couple weeks. Is so weird to think that it's a couple weeks away. It was meant to open a few months ago. I think it was even meant to open last year at some point. It kept getting pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed. And Disney's like, look, this movie is coming. This movie is here. We've said to Fox, we're going to be obligated to play it. We're going to be obligated to release it. We're going to be obligated to take a financial bath on it. All the fans are out there saying, screw it, drop it to Hulu, put it on Disney Plus when it comes out. Don't release this in theaters. Just adapt the X-Men into the MCU. This is what we want. We don't want to wait 5 years. Don't do this. Don't do this. Don't do this. And a lot of, there's some X-Men stands out there that are like, no, this is going to be the greatest thing ever. This is going to be the coolest thing on the crib. It'll be nothing better than X-Men Dark Phoenix because, it's going to be the final movie in the franchise. All things considered, Days of Future Past should have been the final movie in the franchise. And then Logan after that, because Logan was clearly peak Fox X-Men outside of X-Men 2. Fight me if you disagree. But anyway, a lot of other people out there are also not wanting to see this movie because it's currently projected to pull in $50 million. $50 million for an X-Men movie. The Wolverine in 2013 pulled in $53 million in its opening weekend, and that was considered the lowest. And that had everything to do with X-Men Origins Wolverine 4 years earlier being bad. But the Wolverine was dope as shit, man. I love that movie. So this is tracking for $50 million. That's pretty low. Now, according to early estimates, the superhero installment is expected to have one of the lowest openings for any X-Men film. Dark Phoenix is finally coming. The long-delayed X-Men project is tracking for an opening weekend in the $50 million range, according to those with early access box office surveys. The big-budget superhero movie is tracking lower than other entries in the X-Men universe. Opening over Memorial Day weekend in 2014 was Days of Future Past with $90 million, but with a total holiday weekend box office total of $110 million. Also opening over Memorial Day's 2016 was X-Men Apocalypse, which only did $65 million, and that wasn't very good. Days of Future Past was great. Apocalypse was like, what the hell happened? You could tell they rushed that one out the gate. Now, longtime X-Men writer and producer Simon Kinberg makes his directorial debut with this franchise installment that sees Jean Grey become the Dark Phoenix, and it's going to see everyone coming back together. But it says here, the superhero feature was originally slated for November 2018 bow before undergoing reshoots and being shifted into initially February 14th before finally moving to June 7th. And so it's coming in after Memorial Day weekend, which, this article is like, oh, it's coming in after the weekend. But we all know for a fact that Memorial Day weekend for the past couple years has been just, to quote the French, terrible, right? Like we know it's been that bad. And so I actually think it's in a better position post Aladdin than anything else, because I have a feeling Aladdin, when it opens, is maybe not going to do as well. Although I have seen estimates that put Aladdin up to around like $90 million for the 4-day weekend, which is surprisingly good and far better than Dumbo. But then after that, Aladdin's probably going to end up tanking. But the thing is that when it comes to Dark Phoenix, I plan on seeing it opening night. I plan on seeing it. I've invested 20 years of my life, almost 19 years of my life into these characters, so to speak, or into this universe, and having it go out is going to be something that I want to see. And I'm okay with that. But I am also very much in line of saying, just don't release it and don't take a hit financially in that regard, and just sell it to Netflix or drop it on Hulu or do something with it. But they're hoping to make the cash back. However, I am curious if the reshoots at the end of the year, if that had anything to do with the incoming, Fox Disney merger. Now, it's entirely possible. Now, okay, well, the thing with that is that they wouldn't really be able to like work on it, I think, officially or something like that. But they could have found a way, now that Disney owns it, in the editing bay to make it work. And we do know already that the multiverse is the thing based upon the Spider-Man Far From Home franchise trailer. So if that's a reality, I am wondering if this movie is going to end with some kind of multiverse portal being opened and some tie-in to the grander MCU. I'm not going to hold my breath for that. I'm not going to sit there and go, oh, darn shucks, release the MCU cut, if that doesn't happen. Not at all. But I think it would be, I know they want to redo everything, but it also doesn't it kind of feel like a bit of a waste? That's the whole point here. That's what I think audiences are not going to respond to very well with this one, because they know what's coming. So what's the point of investing into this movie if you know that this doesn't matter. There's no sequels past this with this universe. This is it. It's done. It's finito. That's why it's tracking as low. Now, that could be wrong. And the early reviews coming out give it high marks and people get hyped up to go see it. And they decide to kind of, give a nice send off to the X-Men franchise that we've known and loved for 19 years. And then it ends up grossing more money. We don't know that. But it's already a couple weeks away and the early estimates are tracking it to be the lowest one ever. And I think that if it opens real low, even Disney, even though they announced New Mutants for April of next year, they might dump New Mutants on Hulu because at that point, just to be done with Fox's movies. I mean, Legion is finishing up, getting a third and final season. They canceled The Gifted, which is unfortunate. And anything could happen, but you can tell audiences know what's coming and they're clearly not interested in seeing what this movie has to lay down, which is going to suck if it's actually pretty good and ends up getting ignored because people just don't want to emotionally invest, which again is an entire possibility.